this mythology. Paul's a connoisseur. Sarah has an interest, but it's all Greek to her. From Cronus's kids' weird childhood to what's going down in Hades' hood. These fables are bizarre but good. It's myth understood.
Hey, we're back. It's back.
It's back from the future.
It's back from the future. It's me, Paul Bianchi, and I'm here with Sarah Oliver.
Yeah.
And boy, it's really hot in Los Angeles, so we are leaving on the AC while we record.
Because if we don't, we'll die.
We will...
Is that what you want, listeners? Is that what you want?
It might be what they want.
Okay.
We are joined today by a actress, a improviser. Recently, if you have been listening to Dungeons and Dragon Wagon, the podcast, you would have heard her on as a guest. It is Noelle Ann Mabry.
That's me. Hello.
I started that like myself, and then I felt like I ended it sort of like Oprah.
Yeah. But that is you.
That really is. So, Noelle, I'm going to ask you this question that I ask every guest who comes on. What is your background with Greek mythology? Did you study in school? Did you go through a phase where it's all you thought about?
I studied it in school and it interested me. I think I kind of went through an Egyptian phase more than a Greek mythology phase. So I'm excited to,
you yourself
understand a little more.
Went through an Egyptian transformation. Like your heart and brain got put in a jar.
Right.
Yeah.
All my separate organs, and then they all got put back together. It's
That's
a very
puberty.
complicated process. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds really in depth. Today we're going to be jumping into the story of Odysseus. Sarah and I previously talked about the Iliad and the Trojan War, and then we did a little offshoot episode about nymphs and nereids and all of the lady entities of ancient Greece. And now we are
The manic pixie girls of Greece.
and now we're jumping back into where we left off with Odysseus. Familiar with Odysseus?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. He is mostly known for his tale, the Odyssey, which is another epic poem or duo of poems that were written by Homer. Homer Simpson, of course.
Oh,
Right.
Good joke.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you can't say Homer without mentioning
There's
that.
only the two.
There are only those two people. Yeah. And I feel like that must have been I think people have to probably look this up, but I would assume that Matt, I never know how to say his last name, Grown egg.
Grown egg.
Grown egg. I would assume that he named him Homer.
Should I try to do my Marge impression?
Let me hear it.
Oh, hold on. Oh, homie.
Whoa. Okay.
Is that good?
It's not bad. It's just not. It's not accurate.
Oh, homie.
Okay.
I feel like it might be closer to one of her sisters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right, great.
Yeah.
That's what I was going for, guys.
Great.
You
Perfect.
didn't hear me the first time.
Clearly, you were doing Selma. Well, the Odysseus' story is called the Odyssey. It is in part a sequel to the Iliad. It is also known as the second oldest extant work of Western literature, while the Iliad is the oldest. Scholars believe the Odyssey was composed near the end of the 8th century BC. The Odyssey stars Odysseus in his return home from the Trojan War. And something I left out in episodes earlier is that Odysseus' name means trouble in Greek.
Here comes trouble.
Yeah, we knew he was trouble when he walked in, and we didn't say anything. And his Roman counterpart's name is Ulysses.
Ah.
So you might have even seen, like, I remember going to the bookstore and seeing like a big epic book that said Ulysses, like really big on it. And I was like, oh, wow, I wonder if that's similar to the Odyssey. And boy, is it. It's very similar because they're the same person. But just like with the Iliad, I'm not going to start where the Odyssey begins. The reason I did that with the Iliad is because the Iliad isn't like the entire story, whereas the Odyssey is told out of sequence, sort of like Memento. Like they do, they start in the middle, and then like they do all the stuff with his son and Penelope, and then they like go and Odysseus.
You might be asking yourself, how did I get here?
Yeah, he's like face down in a pool at the beginning. That's a Sunset Boulevard reference, and then we go
Yeah.
yeah. So after murdering all the Trojans, Odysseus and his legion ready his 12 ships to take off with the other departing Greek legions. The former queen of Troy, Hecuba, is with them. She is Odysseus's new slave, and perhaps it's because it was foretold that Odysseus's journey would take forever, but they're really slow going as they journey away from Troy towards Thrace.
Just a lot of like pee stops.
A lot of pee stops. Yeah, no one peed during the entire 10-year war, and now they are suddenly
pull over. I gotta go.
Right.
And as they're journeying through Thrace because they journeyed through Thrace on the way there, and so they're like, okay, yeah, just let's go back the way that we know.
So nice, thrice. You do it twice.
Absolutely. And the other reason that they do this is Greek navigation was pretty good, but if you recall, when they were going to Troy, no one knew how to get there. So it's just like, it's very wacky. People are just like, okay, let's sail westerly.
Well, also, you never know like when Hera is gonna just turn someone into an island out of jealousy too. So.
Yeah, and it might get in your way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So before the Trojan War, though, Hecuba asked the ruler of Thrace, King Polymestor, which is my favorite synthetic fiber.
Mhm.
She asked him to protect her son Polydorus, and so she sent Polydorus over
Are
to
they polyamorous?
Polyhaps. But she sent Polydorus to be watched over by Polymestor, and when the Greeks stopped by his kingdom on their way home, Hecuba discovered that Polymestor had betrayed her trust and killed Polydorus.
Damn.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and in one of these myths, she comes upon his body. So if we just imagine like, oh, welcome Hecuba to my kingdom. I am so happy to greet you along with Odysseus.
Oh, let me put my coat in this closet.
Oh, yes, sure, right away. God, show her the closet.
Absolutely. Right over here.
Oh, well.
There's a body in here.
Oh, whoa.
Oh.
What? Ah!
I was wondering where we left.
So after Hecuba discovered that Polydorus was dead, one of these things happened. Either this was the last straw for Hecuba, she went mad and in a fit of rage tore out Polymestor's eyes and then killed all of his sons. And then as Odysseus tried to stop her, he was like reaching for her, and remember Artemis was on the side of the Trojans, and so she felt for Hecuba. What did she do?
Bird shit.
She turned her into a dog.
Oh, we got our first dog.
Yeah, well,
It's a better life.
it is, and it was also something that Artemis only intended to be temporary. She wanted to turn Hecuba into a dog so that she could run and escape, and also no one wants to kill a dog, so the dog ran away, but it was still Hecuba in the mind of the dog. So Hecuba ran away, and then in her grief jumped into the ocean and drowned.
Oh no! I told you I'm done when a dog dies.
Well, it was
just like any movie I watch. I'm done. I'll
even
turn
if
it
it's
off.
Hecuba briefly transformed into a dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially then.
Okay. So then we'll probably go with one of these alternative ways that it happened.
You better.
So the other option is, upon seeing her son dead, and remember all of the hardship that Hecuba went through during the Trojan War, that this is the last straw. She's like, well, at least we'll reach Thrace and I'll see that my son is doing all right. She sees him dead. She goes mad. And then the Greeks decide, we don't want a mad woman on the ship. So they throw her overboard on the ships once they go back to the ship to drown her.
She sucks.
All right, ditch this bitch.
Or, and then this is sort of my favorite because of just the phrasing of it. Or she complained so much about all the terrible things that happened to her family that the Greeks stoned her to death and then threw her out of the side of the
You
ship.
suck! You suck! You suck!
So I mean, in any of these variations, she ends up wet and dead. So at least that's consistent.
And I'm not bothered by that, as long as she's not a dog.
That's okay. So after they leave Thrace, they sighted land, and Eurylochus,
No, it's yours.
Eurylochus, the second in command to Odysseus, convinces him to weigh anchor and to go ashore and devastate the city because they are low on supplies. They need these supplies, and they're like, we're close to Trojan lands. These are basically Trojans anyway. We've got a bigger army. Let's just take all their things and burn everything to the ground. And he assures Odysseus, he's like, and none of us will be harmed. They'll all die, but we'll be fine. And
I thought Odysseus didn't suck so bad.
he does sometimes.
Yeah, for a great leader and just kind of taking everyone at their word, huh?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, Eurylochus is a constant problem creator, and thorn in the side to Odysseus throughout the entire story of the Odyssey. He's what's like a modern equivalent to that, who's like always a piece of shit in modern storytelling. You're just pointing at me. That's very nice. It's true though. I said you're a locust, but I'm a locust. So seeing the ships weigh anchor and all of the warriors coming ashore, the Siconians, who were the local residents of the island, decided to flee immediately into the nearby mountains because they're like, oh God, all these great warriors are here. And so
you don't expect anything good.
No.
The smartest people I've heard in any story ever.
Yeah. They Odysseus and his men then plundered and looted the empty city.
But why did they need to burn it down if they just want supplies?
Well, they didn't burn it down.
Oh,
they
okay.
just took everything. I mean,
Okay.
they were going to burn things if they had to kill people.
Nice.
So the Odysseus though was like, okay, men, plunder, but only plunder little. Like, don't take everything too much. Eat some food, sure, steal some gold, but everyone get back to the ship quickly. This seems too good to be true. Like, it seems like literally people were just here. Like, I think I see someone's Greek sandal spinning from how quickly they cartoonishly ran away from this house.
So only steal little things like this thimble?
Yeah, take that thimble, but nothing larger.
What? Oh my God, what can I
So
fit in
since they
this thimble?
couldn't burn and rape, they just wanted to get in and out quickly. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah, get in and out quickly. So the men of the Odysseus's men, though, however, resisted when Odysseus said, "Let's all go back to the ship." They're like, "No, it'll be fine. Look, I want to climb up to the tallest house and take the largest items. Fuck you." And all of his men then got very drunk off of wine, and
I'm gonna steal a sewing machine.
and they had a hearty meal, drank a shit ton of wine, and then just fell asleep on the shore. Before first light, the Siconians returned, perhaps knowing that this was happened, or maybe they like saw everything from their mountain hideaway from a big Rita Repulsa telescope.
Mm-hmm.
And the Siconians returned with their fierce neighbors and set upon the warriors, killing as many as they could before Odysseus and his men were able to beat them back and then get back onto the ships and said, "I told you should have only taken thimbles."
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up berating himself for having listened to
I'm so stupid.
for listening to Eurylochus in the first place. And so he came up to Eurylochus and he was like, "Eurylochus,
What's up, man?
your plan."
Think fast.
No, why'd you just throw a thimble at me?
Yeah, I got a pocket full of thimbles. Everything worked out great.
Man, we lost so many of our men. Patroclus is over there bleeding. Listen to him.
Bro, you just need to calm down and get up on this sewing kit with me.
Yo, I have like a thimble shoved into my eye socket, so maybe we could have just been in and out quickly, like he said. I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna sew your mouth shut.
Well, I'm gonna punch your mouth shut. And so Odysseus and Eurylochus have a fight. They come to blows and
The wrestle.
they wrestle. I'm sure it's painted on a pot somewhere. And all of the men
with big ol' erections.
giant erections. And they were actually, small erections, as was custom of the art.
Ooh.
But
Now I know next time I vacation in Greece.
that there's little erections there.
On pots.
Well, yeah, on the pots. I'm not speaking of the contemporary men of Greece, but
We'll see.
okay. Well, so the men end up pulling them apart, and they come to a amiable place again, at least for the time being.
They tucked their erections in.
They sure did that. The next thing that happened, it's sort of their next misadventure, is the least beloved of the tales of the things that happen in the Odyssey. I would say this because it's very, very similar to what happens with sirens later on, but this is just less exciting. So let's get ready for this.
Good buildup.
Yeah. They traveled south, and as they were traveling south, they got blown off course towards coastal Libya. The men land and they regroup, and they meet the natives, who are sort of they have like, have you ever heard about just like island life, or just like the sort of people who are just like
Sandals, all inclusive, baby.
yeah, everyone's in a laid back, very chill haze, and they're
Living the life.
yeah, and all of Odysseus's men are very attracted to this after the hardships of sailing on the high seas. And as Odysseus is out scouting the land and trying to see like which direction he needs to sail, what can I see along the coastline, his men start to partake in the local
learning to surf.
They start learning to surf, and they start to partake in the local food, which is a lotus that grows on the ground. And as soon as
All right.
yeah. Well, here's the thing, is that lotus is an interesting word that like people were trying to figure out what exactly lotus refers to. It's one of those words that's kind of like an all-inclusive word for just plant. And so it could have been like the sweet persimmons that are known to grow in northern Africa. It could have been these like water lilies that have intoxicating effects, but that's ultimately what happens in this myth, is that the lotus has an intoxicating effect on the sailors. They get very drunk and they all pass out. When they wake up, they emerge in the haze, very similar to the other people who live on the lotus eating island. So they all just adopt this like
Just laid back. Yeah.
yeah, everything's like, oh man, I think I want to like take up ceramics.
Oh yeah, I would. I want to paint ceramics. I want to paint tiny erections. on a
Yeah?
pot. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Guys, there's just this pile of sand here, and I just really feel like I could build sandcastles. Like,
Wow. I would live in your sandcastle.
oh wow, that's so, yeah.
So when Odysseus returns, he finds that the men forgot all about their family and their homeland in this state, and that the men wanted to stay on this land and eat lotus for the rest of their lives. So desperately, Odysseus and some of his other men who were not intoxicated and in this haze had to carry the men back to the ship, and without delay,
Spank, spank, spank.
they spanked them all, and they just they set sail immediately, and they had to tie the men to the mast in order to keep the men from jumping off the boat and swimming back to shore so that they could go eat this
Yeah,
plant.
this is mean. Why can't they just live that island life?
I don't know. I mean,
Like, I'm sure if they had 10 years of war, they have pretty severe PTSD. Like, let them just forget about it.
I guess so, but I'm sure the argument could be made like, I don't know, why didn't, like, Sarah, in our real life, why didn't I just leave you addicted to drugs?
You
Yeah,
wouldn't.
these
you
guys
know
need a
it.
12-step program.
So after sailing for many weeks without further adventures, the warriors chanced upon another strange land. Odysseus and a handful of his men to search the land, and a few minutes' walk from the ship, they came to the mouth of this gigantic cave. The warriors entered the cave and found it to be in the habitation of some giant being. They found like a giant chair and a giant bidet and a giant I'm trying to do rule of three here. Giant toothbrush.
So you have a chair, a bidet,
and a toothbrush.
and a
a
giant
toothbrush.
toothbrush.
Yeah, all of them inconsistent sizes.
So I would run in fear.
This was a novelty toothbrush
Yeah.
for the giant being that lived there.
Mhm. So it's the broad.
Yeah. Further inside, they found flocks of sheep, and being hungry, they were just like, "Oh, look at these little sheep!
Come here,
Come here,
buddy.
little-"
Cut your throat.
Yeah, and they cut all the sheep's throats, and they well, not all of them, but they eat a few of the sheep, and unknown to them, although they probably should have figured it out, that this was a lair of some giant thing,
Mhm.
and his name was Polyphemus the Cyclops. And this land that they landed on was the island of the giant cyclopes.
Oh, no.
I'm never sure if it's cyclopes or
Cy-
cyclopses,
Cyclopes.
but I think it is
I don't know.
Why wouldn't it
cyclopsy.
be Cyclops?
Cyclops.
Well, many cyclops would be.
Cyclopses.
I think it's cyclops. I think it's
Move
one of those
on.
words. Anyway, when Polyphemus the Cyclops returned to his cave, Polyphemus blocked the entrance with a huge rock, as he usually did. It was his door. Wait, can either of you make the sound of like a giant rock blocking a doorway? Oh, that was pretty good. You also, I feel like you additionally made the sound of Polyphemus moving the rock, unless that was just like the rock groaning because it was being moved.
I'm done with impressions. I killed it at Marge.
That's right. So when the cave was blocked, Odysseus and his man ran towards the entrance, and they were dismayed by the sight that greeted him. There was a huge rock preventing their escape, and there was this being that was even bigger than the rock. He had his big singular eye in his forehead, and he was casting his gaze on the warriors, and he said, "Who are you?"
I'm housekeeper or pizza. You're a pizza keeper.
Shut up, you're a lotus. Odysseus told Polyphemus that they were seafarers who had lost their way home and had come ashore looking for food. Polyphemus could see this because he could see the slaughtered sheep on the ground of his cave house, and he refused to let them exit the cave. And so
You're all little dolls to me now.
yeah, and so every day he would dress up all of the Odysseus' warriors in little frilly outfits that he sewed himself. And then he would eat 2 of them.
Delicious.
Every
Out of
single
how
day.
many?
You know what? The Odyssey is a story a little bit like Lost, where it's like that there's a giant slew of characters, and they just like have different day players each episode that get murdered, and you just like, oh, that was kill of the day. Like so, yeah. There's an uncounted amount of sailors that inhabit 12 ships, and they just get picked off, all of the non-main characters.
Okay.
So yeah. The way that he killed the warriors was that he would grab them by the ankles and just swing them like hammers against the rocky walls of the cave and basically shatter their skulls and dash their brains
you're gonna
out.
get all the juice out.
Yeah.
It's like a KFC chicken.
Oh.
Is that how you eat your kids' chicken?
No, that's how they've been rumored to kill their chickens is they grab them by the neck or the feet and they beat them up against the wall. There are
Oh.
videos.
Oh, okay. Well, then this might have been where they got the idea. Unable to bear this act of cruelty, Odysseus devised a plan to get them out, aside from the fact that he probably just wanted to get out of there. So he had with him a gourd of very strong wine. And one day he said, "Hey, Polyphemus,
Yes, little frilly girl.
um,
Let me brush your hair.
all right, yeah, brush my hair. I was noticing the other day when you were eating my friend Scott.
Oh, he was sour.
Yeah, you didn't have any delicious wine to wash it down.
What? I haven't taken a trip to Trader Joe's in a while.
Here, I mean, I have some wine for you.
Is that $2 Chuck?
This is $2 Chuck.
I love $2 Chuck.
Well, here you go. And he takes his gourd off of his back, carefully over the frilly bows that he now has in his hair,
Mhm.
and he gives it back. He gives it to Polyphemus. Polyphemus never drank wine before in his life, so he was clearly lying in that discussion.
Yeah, I've only ever had Smirnoff Ice. Ice me, bro.
And within minutes of drinking this, he had a really low tolerance. He fell asleep.
Mhm.
And so Odysseus went over to the fireplace, grabbed a fire poker, and let it heat up in the fire,
Shove it up his rectum.
walked over to Polyphemus, had his friend open his eyelid for him, and shoved the red hot poker right into his eye. Polyphemus awakened in shock.
Why? We've been having so much fun.
Now blinded, he was howling in pain and bellowing in rage, smacking the walls and destroying his dollhouse furniture. And he shouted, "Who has done this? Who has blinded me?"
Me, little Polly Pocket.
Odysseus actually said, "Nobody." And Polyphemus, because he's dumb, thought that was his name.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, listen here, no, Mr. Nobody.
Yeah. So Polyphemus, stumbling around and yelling in pain, drew the attention of other cyclopes
Mhm.
from the island, and they all showed up and knocked on his cave door and said, like, everything all right, Polyphemus? Everything okay?
Nobody hurt me.
Oh, well, that checks out then. Bye. That's honestly, you just sort of guessed what happened. He said, "What happened?" And he said, "Nobody blinded me." And they're like, "Great."
What the fuck?
Because all the other Cyclopses were smart. So he said that nobody blinded him, and then the other Cyclopses laughed at him, called him an idiot, and that they're like, "Well, nothing can be done if nobody blinded you, so we'll see you at church." And so the following morning, Odysseus and his men decided to take advantage of a blind person, and they strapped themselves to the stomachs of all of the sheep, and so that when Polyphemus let the sheep out to go graze, that he like basically let all the men out of the cave that way.
Well, I'm sure that made him feel very sheepish.
Oh.
Oh.
Ba. Ba 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 ba. Yeah, so once outside, the warriors ran safely to their ships. Odysseus, however, priding his brilliance, could not resist taunting Polyphemus. The moment that Odysseus set sail, Odysseus shouted out from his ship, "Hey, it wasn't nobody who blinded you. It was me, Odysseus."
And then they all did the arms crossed back to back thing.
Yeah, they did. And then they dabbed.
How many are left?
I don't,
Okay.
I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah.
They're
There were more, and now there's less.
Yes, that's for
right.
sure. Enraged and unable to see, Polyphemus picked up a giant rock, maybe the giant rock that was his door, and
No.
threw it out at the ship. And of course, because he was blind, he completely missed. It just created a giant splash. And then Polyphemus cried out to his father. Guess who his father was?
I can't.
Daddy Themis?
Daddy Themis. It was an Olympian god.
Oh. I really didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Zeus?
Nope. Second choice.
Oh, God. Is Apollo?
Second choice for someone who has had sex with everybody and everything.
Who's had sex with every... Wait.
Pos-
Poseidon.
Yeah.
Duh.
Poseidon. So Polyphemus crawls to his knees and cries out while he's crawled to his knees in anguish and says, Daddy, Odysseus
Bloop, 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 bloop.
made a fool of me.
Oh, Odysseus? Diss you?
Yeah, Odysseus had dissed me. At first I
Mm-mm.
thought nobody blinded me, but somebody blinded me. It was Odysseus, and I need you to smite him.
I'm a little busy. I'm trying to fuck. Daddy's trying to fuck.
And, well, in your spare time, please.
All right.
Okay. So, Odysseus has hereafter become an enemy of Poseidon, which is a really shitty god to have your enemy when you are sailing and you are trying to get home. So Poseidon, at this point in the story of the Odyssey, is now doing everything in his power to prevent him from finding his way home. I guess not everything in his power, because if he did everything in his power, he would just like send a tidal wave over him and he'd be dead.
Mm.
But like he's putting in
Like Home Alone traps.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He's trying in a very PG way
Yeah.
to prevent him from getting home. So one of the things that he did, though, was make the currents were always just going against the tread of the boat. So they had to work extra hard to get anywhere.
That's gonna backfire because everyone's gonna be ripped.
That's super true. So what they discovered, though, is because they couldn't determine how the sea was taking them home, they ended up landing on the floating island of Areola. No, I'm sorry, that's Aeolia. Close enough. That was the home of the Keeper of the Winds, Aeolus, and he was sympathetic to their misfortune. And so Aeolus decided, you know what? You guys have had such a rough go at it. You guys are starving from living in that giant Cyclops' cave. Why don't you stay with me for a month, and I'll just take care of everything.
I am blown away by your generosity.
Oh, I don't have a wind pun back for you. I don't have anyone to share it with except for all of my children that I had with no wife. I don't know how they got here. These are my children, though.
You just busted it in the wind.
I sure did. During this time that Aeolus was giving this incredible hospitality for a month, Odysseus decided to start having secret sex with Aeolus's daughter, Polymele.
And she's a wind thing?
She's just a lady.
Okay.
Yeah. And Polymele was obsessed with Odysseus. Like, as soon as he meets her, he's like, hey, Polymele, you're like Aeolus's only daughter. Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen all of your erection pot paintings, and I've just seen so much about you.
Wow. Yeah, it must be hard living here with like only your brothers and your father.
Yeah, it is rough. And, the only other guys we see are really on our porn pots.
Show me these porn pots.
Oh, well, here's a great one right here of Zeus jerking off over Hera's body.
Wow.
It's really sexy.
Beautiful. So, yeah, they're having secret sex. And
Secret sex.
after a month goes by, Aeolus says, you know what? You guys have been so great. Certainly none of you have been sleeping with my daughter.
Wait, what? Why'd you have to say that part?
It's what I say to all my guests.
Kind of knocked the wind out of me there.
I would like to gift you with this bag that contains within it the west wind.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it'll help blow you guys all the way home.
'Cause I've been what have I been getting blown this whole time?
I don't know what that means, but
oh fuck.
he gives him this bag that has the west wind. If you open it, it will help push your ship in the right direction of where it's going. But in case you guys use it wrong and you use it too and it pushes you too far, I have this bag that contains all the other winds in it, and you can use that to blow yourself back a little bit.
So because you're Mr. Wind, did you just like fart in a couple jars? And
that's
the
what
way
I do.
It works.
Yeah. You might remember when we had this episode called "This Episode Blows," which was about the
yeah, your artwork from high school.
It was about my artwork from high school, yeah. But it was about the cardinal direction winds and how they there were gods associated with them. But there's in the Odyssey and in other myths, there was just Aeolus who was the keeper of the winds, and he had these
farts.
And his farts. He had his bags of farts that he just used to blow the winds. It's become the bag of farts now. Thank you, Sarah.
It is now.
Odysseus and his crew members thanked him for his hospitality, and they left. But Odysseus was terrified that the other men would covet his windbags. And I guess with good reason, because he was afraid to sleep day or night. But the moment that he fell asleep, 2 of the day players on his ship were like, okay, let's Odysseus is finally asleep. Let's play with his windbags. And
wait, but they want to go home too.
I know, but they are stupid. And they
really do sound like J.J. Abrams characters then.
Yeah, they really don't have any proper motivation. So
Take that. I know you're listening.
they proceeded to indulge their curiosity to see the costly presents that they thought were perhaps inside these bags as well. Like, oh, there can't just be.
I know there's candy in here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure of it.
And they opened it, and unwittingly outburst the imprisoned winds. And
what's that smell?
As luck would have it, the wind blew them all the way back to Aeolia. Like, it just like basically undid. It's like you lost your game save, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, I'm back at Aeolia.
Oh.
And as soon as they landed, Aeolus was there to greet them. He's like, oh, you guys came back. Why'd you guys come back?
Because there wasn't any candy.
Because I have candy. Do you guys want candy?
No, I want a bag of candy.
All right, so he gives them a bag of candy, but then he refuses to provide them any further help. He says, I thought that because my windbags didn't help you get home, I'm not going to give you any more windbags. Clearly, the gods do not favor you, and thus I can't help you either.
Just squeeze one more out.
I'm all out of farts.
I got a spoonful of beans.
Not interested. But while they were there, you might be thinking, oh, the daughter that Odysseus was having sex with would be overjoyed to see him, and she was. But Odysseus was so cranky that he was back there at Aeolia.
I want to get my dick sucked.
He said, yeah, he was very cold to her. He was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we're leaving. All right, nice to see you too. Yeah, great body and face. Goodbye. And so he leaves her crying. And
still a nicer breakup than I've ever had.
Oh. And so Polymele goes and cries with the he gave her some treasure from the Trojan War, like probably like a baby skull. I don't know. Some whatever he had from the Trojan War. And Aeolus walks over and is like, "Daughter, why are you crying?"
Well, I painted this beautiful pot with my tits on it.
Whoa.
And they didn't want to take it with them. And now all I have is this trashy child skull to remember him by.
Oh, wow. You might think that as a father I would have compassion for you losing this man, but instead I'm thinking I'm going to exact revenge upon you for sleeping with a man that came to this island. Your secret sex is worthy of punishment. And right as he is about to do something, like probably kill his daughter because she had sex with a man that came to the island, one of his sons, what was his name? Oh, Dioris, walks up to him and he's like, "Father, no! Don't kill Palamili."
Did you hear she did?
Yeah, I heard.
She took a D
Yeah,
in her V.
but I was hoping that she would take my D in her V.
Oh,
Now
thanks,
that's what a father wants to hear.
And so that's what Aeolus says. He's like, "Okay, I won't punish my daughter. I'm just going to make her marry her brother."
I love our family.
So that's what happens to Palamili. This is the final piece that I'm going to handle in today's chunk about the Odyssey. And what are you making a face about?
Oh, he's licking his butthole.
Oh, yes, there's a cat near us licking their butthole.
You didn't have to say it. Just leave it there.
I wanted to specify that if we're leaving in something about licking a butthole, that they know that it's a
They
cat.
know me by now.
So without the bag of winds and the sea cooperating, Odysseus' wearisome crew was stuck rowing for 6 days and 6 nights. And so, yeah, they probably did get very ripped.
Oh, yeah, they're looking good.
On the 7th day, they spotted an island in the distance. This was the island of Lamos. And on the island of Lamos, there was the city of Telepelos. And this was home to the, I'm just hitting you 3 in a row, home of the Lastrygonians.
What's the Vulcan language?
The Vulcan language is
Yeah.
Vulcan. What is that?
This is all just a bunch of fucking consonants put together.
Yeah, well, the Lastrygonians, they lived on this island of Lamos, and the island had natural defenses in the form of cliffs with only one narrow passage inside. So they still had all 12 of their ships, and 11 of the ships proceed to go inside this very narrow passage and go inside to the harbor. Odysseus felt compelled to anchor his lead ship outside in the turbulent waters so that when they left, his ship would be the first ship and would be able to lead everyone out to wherever they're going next. Once his other ships were inside, though, Odysseus called for 2 of his sailors and a messenger to go meet with the king and help, just say, "Hey, we're tired and need food." That's basically what they need all the time is food. And
Ask them what kind of beer they have.
yeah, exactly. See if they have any IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
So they met the daughter of the Lastrygonian
Oh,
chief,
God. She's about to
Jeez
get
Louise.
torn up.
and you know what? She turns out just fine in this story.
No,
Yeah, she's fine.
prove it.
They well, after they rape her, no, just kidding. They meet up with her. It's the 2 sailors and the messenger, and they say, "Hey, lady,
What?
we are looking for the chief of the village. I heard that you're the chief's daughter.
Yeah.
Can you point at which one is his house?"
I can point. Can you tell me why?
Because we're gonna go ask him for his favor as we journey on. Look at our arms. We're super swole right
Oh
now.
my God.
Yeah.
You're so wrapped.
Thank you. It's just our arms, though.
Yeah, it's weird. You've got
We-
tiny little torsos.
Yeah, we've been skipping leg days.
Yeah, it's over that way. Do you want some beer?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
We only have ciders.
No.
Oh.
So when she points towards this giant looking house in the distance, and they walk over to the house, and as soon as they open the door, this giant, terrifying woman opens
More
the door.
giants, like actual giants?
Yeah, like an
Oh,
actual
boy.
giant. And they open the door and they see this woman.
And they scream, "We have our own doll outfits. Thank you very much."
Exactly, yeah. And she's like, "I'm going to enjoy playing with you as dolls."
Fine, that's fine by us.
Yeah.
I've still got my
We're
old
used to it,
costume.
yeah.
It's gonna be great.
She then called for her husband, Antiphades, or Antiphates, or Intiphades.
Intiphades. Chubs only.
And upon his arrival, Antiphades snatched one of the sailors up and just like did that party trick where like you open a bottle of beer with like your mouth, like with your teeth, but like instead it was the guy's head, and just like bit off his head and then like drank his blood.
So the girl that they met up with
Was his daughter.
was not a giant?
She was normal sized.
All right,
Maybe
go
she
on.
was like a dwarf giant.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
She's like a freak in her village.
Yeah, maybe. We don't know.
Bummer.
So yeah, well the last Dragonians were the it sounds like I'm saying like they're the last of the Dragonians, but it's all one thing.
I never expect sense out of these names.
Nope. So as he's drinking this diet cherry Dr. Pepper human, the other two men ran back to the ships screaming, just like cartoon characters.
Probably.
Yeah. Probably very much like Shaggy and Scooby. Like,
Quick, get your doll outfits!
zoinks! And they ran back to the ships. In the meantime, Antiphades mobilized his own forces, and thousands of giants suddenly appeared on the cliffs. And they all picked up huge rocks and harpoons and started harpooning men off of their ships in this harbor that was very difficult
Do we know
to
why
get
they're
out of.
so hostile?
They are cannibals. They're very hungry for human flesh.
Okay.
And so they harpoon. They basically make human skewers, and they bread and fried the men on these harpoon skewers.
My
Uh,
mouth is watering.
And they also threw all of these rocks into their harbor that punched holes into the ships. And
Except for one ship.
except for one ship, except for I was reading on tvtropes.com or something about main character immunity, and that's totally what Odysseus has.
Yeah, his plot armor.
Yeah. So he's able to escape. So is his second. Everyone on his ship sails away as all 11 of the rest of his fleet and the untold amount of men that were on those ships get killed, drowned, eaten, fried up, smothered in butter, and
Stop it, I'm starving.
and Odysseus survives to further his adventures. And that's exactly where we're leaving it off today, because the Odyssey is a lengthy story, and this will continue for more episodes to come. We will learn all about. I hinted at sirens today. Someone requested that we talk about Circe. Circe will certainly be in the next episode. There is Calypso. There are so many notable parts of Odysseus' journey, and today we covered maybe the least notable parts. I think the Cyclops, though, is probably the most memorable
Yeah.
of this part of the journey.
That's a big moment in his
Yeah.
journey.
No, I think everyone getting eaten is a pretty big part of the journey. It definitely
going from
thins
12
out
to
his
1.
crew.
Yeah, all those extras, man.
Yeah, finally. Yeah, keep them away from craft services, though.
You heard about her. The lone daughter of Aeolus, raised with only her brothers.
Hey, did someone order a pizza?
Oh, yeah, I did order a pizza. Can I pay in pot porn?
That's right. The sexiest daughter on a floating island, Polymele, is releasing all her pornographic pots for your enjoyment.
You like little erections?
We've got bunches of Greek erections and giant erections and dwarf erections.
Call now to receive a complimentary laurel wreath with a picture of your bumping so confused. I think you were made to do I think you were made to do pornographic music.
Well, you sound like every guy in Hollywood.
You, my dear, making pornographic music to my ears.
Secret sex.
Secret sex. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Myth Understood. And thank you so much for joining us today, Noelle. If you are in Los Angeles and you like sketch comedy, Noelle is performing right now as we speak, Sunday nights in a show called Ready Period 1 at the Second City.
At 8 p.m.
Yeah. You can catch her there. That's what she's doing. What else are you doing? Anything else exciting?
Living life.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were also just in my friend Haley Lee. He is not an adverb. His name is Haley Lee. He just released a short film based off of the cult video game series Final Fight, and Noelle has a part in that. According to IMDb, your character's name was Distressed Woman.
So distressed.
What's the video so that people can find it?
Oh, yeah, it has a name. It's called The Broken Gear. So people can check that out. I'm also in it. I get my face bashed into the ground.
That's all I need to know.
A glass bottle. Yeah.
I'm subscribing
Spoiler alert. Yeah. So, and if people want to follow you, that would be on social media. How would they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at nmabry23 or on Facebook at Noelle Ann Mabry.
Wow. If you want to follow us, Myth Understood, you can follow us at _Myth Understood on Twitter and Instagram.
And we're actually thinking about, we're going to do a Instagram live video where we can talk back to you guys. So follow us on Instagram and we will tell you when we're going to do that. And we'll answer some questions, solve some mysteries, fight some crime.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow us personally, come at your girl at the Sarah Oliver. That's on Twitter and Instagram. And come at your other girl at the Paul Bianchi.
I just sort of assumed when you said come at your girl, you were going to say come at your girl at the Paul Bianchi and come at your boy at the Sarah Oliver. Yeah, you can also follow our network at It's Dragon Wagon on Instagram and Twitter as well. And please, if you are feeling like, man, I really want to help out this independent podcast, please check out dragonwagonradio.com/support. You can give a donation or give a gift directly. It really helps out this podcast. I think right now, the most important thing is we need a new vacuum. It is filthy in here. It is covered in dog hair. And also,
mail in your teeth, mail in some hair.
Mail in your teeth and hair. I also need a new set of headphones because I break them with my very large head.
And what's some other shit? You got a show going on at Second City. Why don't you promote yourself?
Yeah.
All right. Don't go see his show. I have a show in whatever 2 Wednesdays is at Second City Party Boat. I don't know. What day is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, so see you later.
So that was another exciting episode of Myth Understood. Sarah, you might notice that there is a third person sitting next to us right now.
It's me.
It is Zen Zenith, not a tiny Mario. So you have a podcast.
I do.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, it's called The House Show, and it's a live concert event series and podcast. So we actually host shows at the Dragon Wagon Radio HQ, and then we record the whole thing. I interview the guests, we upload it to the internet, and it's really fun.
So where can we find this podcast that we're going to show up to next time?
That's a great question. You can find it at thehouseshowshow.com and on iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever else good podcasts are sold.
Thanks for being here.
You are welcome.
Now be gone.
Myth Understood.
Oh my God, this is my wet dream come true. Singing with the actual Myth Understood singer.
It's Dragon Wagon.